Hello. Now I'm together with Archbishop Adrian Smith, the Emeritus of Archbishop of Honiara. He is really a resource person for us to tell the story about Holy Name of Mary Seminary, the beginning of Holy Name of Mary Seminary, and also the reason, the background, why the bishops of Salomon Island invite us, Vincentian.
I hope that I'm able to tell you the same story as I told you before, because to be very honest, I cannot remember exactly what I told you before.
Yes.
But in any case, the idea of having our own seminary in Solomon Islands is not a new idea or something that just happened, we'll say, in my time. In fact, there used to be a seminary quite near to where the present seminary is, also with the name of St. Vincent's.
Oh, St. Vincent.
And that was to be our diocesan seminary. Unfortunately, World War II made all that impossible, and then we resorted to joining with the bishops of Papua New Guinea because they were opening seminaries in Papua New Guinea, so we became part of that. But we began to feel the pressure a lot of trying to send students to Papua New Guinea, and we said, well, why can't we have our own seminary? And we got the idea, we tried to have our own seminary. Now, Vincentians, you're famous for staffing seminaries. So what I knew of Vincentians from the time I left home, they're people who run seminaries. And I remember, I think we wrote to your superiors, and you just finished a gathering, and I think Father Jerry Arbuckle, a Marist father,
Yes.
had led that gathering, and well, we invited you. Would you consider an interdiocesan seminary? I understood that that was the key idea that made you interested when you heard it was an interdiocesan seminary. And then we were blessed with a visit from Father...
Father Pillar?
Yeah,
Father
Victor.
Pillar?
Victor, yeah.
Pillar?
So Father Victor came and visited us, and the way he was responding in that was giving us a feeling of it's all possible. And we asked in Rome about the idea, and there wasn't great enthusiasm, to be very honest, but they weren't saying no. But then unfortunately, because of the development of the seminaries in Papua New Guinea, they began to question the idea of a seminary. And in fact, Cardinal George Pell was sent here,
Yes.
and he actually felt that to try and open up another seminary within the Bishops' Conference area was too much. But fortunately, at the same time, Bishop Jerry Loft, who was Bishop of Auki,
Yeah.
he was at a meeting, I think, in Fiji with the Pacific Conference of Churches, I think it was.
Yeah.
And there he met Cardinal, who was in charge of propagation of the faith, or who's in charge of whatever congregation looks after seminaries, and he was encouraging us.
Oh, very good.
So we were blessed because Cardinal George Pell was suggesting no, and here is an important person saying yes, so we were hopeful. And the great news was Father Victor informed us that your general chapter showed interest. And I think the main interest was when you heard it was an interdiocesan seminary, that's what made you all enthusiastic. And thanks be to God, you came to Solomon Islands. Now that may not be exactly what I said before,
I think so, yes.
but it is my memory. And I think if you wanted to give credit, we'll say, to who were the key people or the strongest people in this whole project, I think Bishop Jerry Loft played a very important role. And that was mostly because he was getting more vocations from Maleta, and he was burdened with this whole idea of sending them to New Guinea and all that sort of thing. And the other thing we found was going to New Guinea was probably not the best training for our people, because it was better that our young men were trained within their own society and with their own communities and that sort of thing. So that's why we continue to consider and to want to go ahead with the idea of Holy Name of Mary. Actually, the name Holy Name of Mary is to be attributed to Bishop Eusebius Crawford, because I think maybe we Maris at a time were a little bit afraid it might sound we're pushing our own thing too much.
You are too humble.
No, that was the and in actual fact, I remember one time talking to somebody in New Guinea about the name Holy Name of Mary, and that idea was suggested to me, maybe you're pushing yourselves too much. And I said, that name was not chosen by a Marist, it was chosen by a good, solid Dominican. And that's where we had the name Holy Name of Mary Seminary.
Yes, Bishop. And for us, actually, for us Vincentian, when our General Curia started international mission, in many other places, this mission on the field, while actually priestly formation from the beginning of St. Vincent is part of our main charism and work. But now, in our times, only here in Salomon Island, which is the first and the second, also in PNG, Bomana, we are working in the priestly formation. So it is really also a providence for us that we can return to our charism, to our main work in the formation for the clergy. So it is also providence, as you said that in the beginning the idea, the name of Saint Vincent de Paul actually already existed there before our coming here to work in Holy Name of Mary Seminary. Yes, so it is a providence. Yes. And Bishop, now the administration of administrative responsibility of the Holy Name of Mary Seminary, although it is still international mission, but now entrusted to Indonesian province in collaboration with Oceania province, Australian province. We will continue to work as international mission, but mainly Indonesian province, the most responsible for the staffing of, together with other provinces, of course. Yeah. And with this, what is your hope for us? Also, in my idea, that in near future, is possible, the local priest, diocesan priest, should take responsibility as the core staff, and we will continue to support, to be present here to support the Holy Name Mary Seminary. But of course, it will be very good if finally the local diocesan priest would take over the main responsibility. What do you think about this, and your hope about our presence in the future?
I think you've made an important point when you talk about the Indonesian situation, Indonesian involvement. That gives you a great advantage, because the lifestyle and the way of the people here in Solomon Islands, I don't think is that foreign to you Indonesians as it is to myself, maybe as an Irishman. You're more, I think, in tune with Melanesian society and all that sort of thing, and you have been able to enter in a good way. Now, your hope that one day there will be Solomon Islanders involved, of course. That would be the dream of all of us, that there would be Solomon Islanders involved. But there is a certain enrichment, though, in having outsiders as well. Because things that are just too, as it were, localized tend to become less creative and that sort of thing. But when you've got different people contributing, I think we end up with a richer product. And what I've seen so far, I'm very happy with it. And I agree with you that the idea of St. Vincent as a seminary was the very beginning of the whole thing. And it's fortunate that in Tenerife, very close to what was the original hope for a seminary, is where the whole thing has started. And I'm hoping that it will be able to continue. And I agree with you. I'm hoping that future staff and that will be Solomon Islanders. Please God, some more Solomon Islanders will opt to be Vincentians and opt to be seminary formators, because it's a very important role in the future of the country here. And the one thing you will notice is Solomon Islands is very blessed with a number of vocations. When you consider what's happening in other parts of the world, we really have an awful lot to say thank you to the Lord for. And I also think we have to say thank you to the Vincentians, because you've made the place attractive. And once the good sort of attractive image is going out, other young people thinking of coming, they're looking forward to the day that they can come. Well, please God, that will continue.
When the seminary began in 1995, I was Vicar General of the Gizo diocese at the time, and I also participated in the discussion to have the Vincentians come, and also the siting of the seminary, which is in Tenerife area. So it's been a rich blessing to be here for the past 29 years and to see the seminary grow and develop from the first 2 priests who came to begin the seminary to now the fact that we have 3 local professors, which is a great blessing. We are ready to send 3 graduates this month. Later, in 2 weeks' time, we'll send 3 more graduates to Rome to do their graduate studies. And I always tell everyone that the fruit of the seminary is to see how the young priests are doing in their pastoral ministry. As the Bishop of Auki Diocese for 12 years, I ordained more than 20 priests that graduated from Holy Name, and I'm happy to say that the fruit of the seminary is to have young, holy, hardworking, and humble graduates of the seminary. It's easy to be a good student in a closed environment of the seminary, but when they have the various demands of the pastoral ministry and the cura animarum of the people, that's the great test. So it's been a great blessing to see our young priests in action and to see how they collaborate and cooperate with the bishops. And I always say that the Vincentians have a great effect on our young people. Personally, for me too, I'm always happy to say that my own family had a great influence from the Vincentian community. Thankfully, my dad is still alive, and he went to the Vincentian University, St. John's in New York. My mother went there, my brother went there, my godfather went there, and we are richly blessed to have those good connections. Even my dad just went to the graduation this year, and Cardinal Tagla from Manila was the graduation speaker and also the main celebrant for the baccalaureate Mass. And after the Mass, my dad, who is a graduate of St. John's, went to shake hands with the Cardinal, and he told them that his son was the bishop in the Solomon Islands. And Cardinal Tagla said that he had been to Holy Name of Mary, and he remembered me from that visitation too. So inside the Vincentian family, whether we are a member of the Congregation of Mission or whether we are Vincentian supporters, it's wonderful to be part of the Vincentian family. And we say thanks be to God for the growth of Holy Name and the fact that it's producing good priests and it's producing good men and women to serve the church.
Then you just mentioned that now more local diocesan priests are sent for the study. I think in the future, the local diocesan priests should take over as the core staff. We will continue to work, to support, and it's also, for me personally, I told you in the beginning that I'm ready even to spend the rest of my life here to work in Salomon Island. However, as regard to the formation in Holy Name of Mary Seminary, I think it's good if in the future, in the near future, the core staff should be the local diocesan priests. What do you think about this?
I'm very happy to be training our local priests by sending them for studies. When the 3 men go next 2 weeks, we'll have 5 men studying for graduate studies. And it would be wonderful to have a local rector and to have the collaboration and the cooperation of the Vincentian still. I realize that the Vincentian ministry is not to stay in a place forever and ever, but to help establish the formation until the local priests are coming up. So we have that possibility because we have some good young local priests trained by the Vincentians who could eventually run the seminary. And I'm also hoping that well before the age of retirement, that a graduate from Holy Name of Mary Seminary could be the next Archbishop. That would be my greatest. So not only are you training priests there, but hopefully you're training bishops and archbishops too. So thank you for the interview. Thank you for the great ministry of the Congregation of the Mission. And we ask God to continue to bless all that we say and do here, and that we will continue to work together to build up the body of Christ. Thank you, Father Rector, and thank you, community from the Congregation of the Mission.
It's been a very fruitful collaboration between the province of Indonesia and the province of Oceania. I became involved in the Holy Name Seminary of Mary back in 2013 when I visited as the acting provincial. And from there I've seen such strong development. We started to talk about stabilizing the faculty, enhancing the ability of the faculty, and all of this in terms of what's best for the students here in Honiara. And after some good discussion, we decided that one of the best ways to go forward was for the province of Indonesia to take the lead, to be the province responsible for the staffing and the running of the seminary, and that Oceania would support Indonesia in the running of the seminary, but more particularly also take over the responsibility of Red Beach, which is the pastoral arm of the seminary, as well as a parish in the Archdiocese of Honiara. So Father Eddie is here at the present time to see the confreres here in the seminary, and I'm here visiting our confreres just down the road at Red Beach. In some ways there's probably too many provincials here at the moment, but we're all happy to be together. I see a real fruitful future for our work here in the seminary and our work here in the Archdiocese. One of our goals is to build up the seminary and its staff and its students to such a point that the local priests and professors can come in and take that role, and they take the lead and we step back a bit. They take over the parish, which would be good, and maintain the pastoral work for the seminary. It doesn't mean that either the Indonesia confreres or the Oceania confreres disappear, but as it becomes more and more the local concern, we'll take up other work here in the Solomon Islands. So we're in early days, it's working well, and I see a very fruitful future.
And I'm thinking also now that actually this region, Solomon Island, is also part of Oceania province. And I see the possibility also to develop this Salomon Island is part of for the development of Seminary province, because as you see now, we have more possibility, more vocation from Salomon Island. And as you said that to staff Holy Name of Mary Seminary must not be forever.
No.
With as a preparation to staff forever means a failure for me. Their local diocesan priest must continue the seminary, and then we will continue to work together here in Salomon Island and support them. But the core staff must be the local priest. And we can continue to work together, and we can stay in Red Beach, for example. Then we can come here just to support them. What do you think about this?
Oh, I fully agree, Father Paulus. We're missioners, so we don't come and take over and then settle down with our pipe and slippers. Where we move on to the next work. I think one of the big challenges for us, once we get the seminary running really well, and it's going well now, is to look at the ongoing formation of priests here in the Solomon Islands. I think that's a great need, and I think we could do some collaborative work there. There's also places in other parts of the Solomons which are looking for the Vincentian presence.
Yes, very good.
And so we could be moving that way. But I fully agree with you. If we stay here and this is it, we haven't done our job.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Father Greg.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Paulus.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.